Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're reviewing the Canon EFS 24mm STM f2.8 lens.
Silence! The time has come for you to photo shoot for your life.
Now that's some straight up scary shit. Over the last month or so, I've been shooting with the Canon EFS 24mm lens. It's a lens that I bought a couple of years ago when I was searching for a fast and wide lens that was sharp, but I never really used it. Seeing it just sit there and take up space in my bag got me to thinking, why do I avoid this lens? So I challenged myself to use it, and that ultimately led to this review. I'm going to go over the specs, talk about my experience with the lens, show you some photographs, and then give you my recommendations. I'm the type of photographer that sees gear like lenses as more than just a tool. Yes, they serve a purpose getting you to a final product, but lenses are more than that. Every lens has its own characteristics. Some lenses show off their character immediately, and some you have to spend more time with before you realize their potential. The latter being the case for me with the 24mm. The Canon EFS 24mm is a pancake prime lens for Canon APS-C or crop sensor cameras. It has a focal length of 24mm. On a crop sensor camera, that equates to 38mm. It has an f-stop of f2.8 and features an STM focusing motor. The minimum focusing distance is 6.4 inches. It's less than an inch thick and weighs less than 5 ounces. Compared to other lenses, it's really tiny. When you look at its wide focal length, you immediately think its strength would be landscape or street photography. But after taking this lens to the lake, I came to the conclusion that it's definitely not a strong landscape lens. I had focusing issues with long-distance subjects and bright sunlight. I also took it on a shoot downtown where I was doing some grunge-style photography where it did okay. But it wasn't until I started shooting smaller subjects where I began to see where this lens shines. It's really sharp, even at f2.8. Step it down to f4 and it's tack sharp across the entire frame. With its f2.8 aperture consisting of 7 blades and a short minimal focus distance, you can get some decent bokeh, but you have to be super close to your subject, and even then the background is never completely blown out. The EFS 24mm also doesn't have any image stabilization, but because of its wide focal length and fast aperture, you can freehand it with a shutter speed of 1/50 without any problems. It's a great walk around, get everything in the frame type of lens. The Canon EFS 24mm is a lens that took me a while to get acquainted with. For me, it really started to show its potential with smaller subjects and close-ups. You get sharp, detailed, clean images with just a slight background blur. And there are times when you want that. Say, for example, street photography, where your subject or the person that you're photographing, you want them to stand out, but you don't want to lose the surroundings because they help tell a story. The background can be blurred out ever so slightly to give an artistic expression or point of view, but at the same time, keep the context of the story intact. And that's where the EFS 24mm reaches its ultimate potential. It's a storytelling lens. So let's go over my pros and cons. Let's start with the cons first. Limited bokeh control for an f2.8 lens. Focusing issues with distant objects and bright sunlight. No image stabilization. On the pro side, sharp image quality. It's small and lightweight, and it's inexpensive. So is the Canon EFS 24mm STM Toddnorris approved? Absolutely. You're not going to find a Canon prime lens that's this sharp for a crop sensor camera in this price range. I recommend it for street, close-ups, travel, and architectural photography. I also recommend it for stationary video where your camera is mounted to a tripod. I do not recommend it for landscapes or run and gun types of video work, especially vlogging. This is not a vlogging lens. With all that said, I still choose my Sigma 18-35 f1.8 over this 24mm lens. It's just as sharp and gives me more flexibility with bokeh and shooting in low light conditions. But I also understand that not everyone has or wants to spend almost $1,000 on a lens for a crop sensor camera, or carry around a heavy, big piece of glass. The Canon EFS 24mm lens only costs $130. It weighs a mere 5 ounces and can produce sharp, detailed images with a focal length that's usable in just about any situation. I highly recommend it. Well, that's the end of today's video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment sections below and I'll answer you. You can also catch me on Instagram here. Okay? I tag all of my photos with the camera and the lens that I shot them with. Also, if you liked today's video, consider smashing that like and subscribe button. Until next time, I am Todd Norris. Peace